All right, guys, go ahead. Hey, Rob.
Last week I asked you if you've ever been happy to see a guy not scoring a touchdown. How about, quote unquote, settling for a field goal and getting a record breaker out of Kyle?
Yeah, boy, how awesome. I thought, first of all, we kind of did a good job in that 2-minute situation at the end of the half. We so much talk about winning the middle 8 and, man, trying to do it in a positive way. And, I kind of went to him right before and just said, man, you got the win. What do you think? And, man, he felt really good about it. And you just trust that guy. I mean, he's a guy that continues to show up for us in a really powerful moment. But it all started, the defense got a great stop. Offense was able to get two, really, I think there was 23 seconds on the clock with 2 timeouts and, was able to, manufacture enough yardage to kind of put ourselves in a good situation. So thought a really good execution of the situation, more importantly.
And then records, another record, of course, Rocco's completion percentage in a single game. What does it say also, though, that the strength of your tight end room, that I think of the 19 of those completions, it goes to 13 tight ends?
Yeah, I think that group is, and we've talked about that, that group is so mature in their preparation and their detail. And, I think the fun thing for me is to see some of the other guys. I thought Xavier had a couple great plays today. It's great to get him back. Obviously, the first play to Brett and, what he was able to do. And, I think what you're going to find from this team is just there's so many different guys that have the ability to make a play for us. And so I think that those names will probably continue to revolve as the season continues on. But, I think it also says a lot about Rocco, his ability to distribute the football, and I thought he did a great job of that today.
What would you say about the defensive effort today? They come down, score the touchdown early, and then you hold them pretty much the rest of the way. Got a lot of guys in there. And did you think maybe Patton's interception there, did that kind of maybe turn things a little bit early?
Yeah, it certainly was a big play. I think they were in the scoring zone, and for J-Mo to make that play, that was really big. I think it kind of gave us a little bit of confidence. And, again, I know going into it, we've got so much respect for Aiden, and I thought he did a really great job early in the football game, distributing the football, made some really great plays with, the ability to vertically throw the football down the field. And then they got a great young running back. Their running back was a really dynamic football player. So I think the speed of those two in the game kind of, we had to catch up to that early in the game. I thought our guys did as the game went on, but tip your hats to them. They're great players.
And how are you guys looking injury-wise coming out of this one with Carson Willick and then some of the other guys that didn't suit up today?
Yeah, I think we feel pretty good. I don't think anything is, pressing or long-term by any stretch of the imagination. I think we got to hopefully have a chance to be closer to full strength as we go into next Saturday for sure.
To go back to Kyle's field goal, what kind of range did you have in your mind heading into the game? And how would you describe the degree of difficulty to making a 63-yard field goal?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because I can't kick the ball. You know what I mean? So, I know it's difficult. Anywhere outside of the 25-yard line looks difficult to me. So, I just felt like we were going into the wind and, we were on the left hash. So I felt at least, let's give him a shot to do it. I think in your mind, hindsight 2022, obviously you don't want to give up a blocked field goal. They can put the return team back. But, man, I think Kyle really, you just have so much faith in him. And when he says, I think, again, that's where you better ask the players, man, what do you think? And, fortunately we had a timeout, so we were able to ask that question. And, he felt really confident about doing it.
Flores Day as a punt return,
True.
Did he get dinged up at all there?
He did a little bit at the end. I don't think it's anything major, but obviously we'll know a lot more as we get in the early part of the week. But, Aiden Flores just really emerged, even since last year at the end of the season. The first 2 games he has been critical to our success, especially on special teams. So, man, he's tough, he's trusted, and he's a young man for us that just continues to do great things in a powerful way.
First play of the game, obviously, is a 66-yard completion to Skilton. What do you think that did for you guys today as an offense, scoring 9 of 10 possessions after that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like, for us, you got so much faith in our quarterback that, doesn't always mean that a ball has to travel that far. You've got check downs, and we thought it was a really safe play. But Brett, I thought ran a great route. He was able to get over the top of the well linebacker and really put himself in a catchable position on the football. So, I think when you can vertically press the football down the field, I think those are certainly positive things. And, this group's going to have to continue to prove that we can do that. But I think we feel very confident that we can vertically throw the ball down the field.
You stressed so much in the offseason and early in the year the emphasis of coming back from Ireland. What do you think today's game does to increase the confidence that you have in this team to handle that in the ways that you're looking for?
Yeah, I don't know. I think today it was probably a step in the right direction. I think the thing that was critical for Iowa State today is we had to improve. And, there were some areas that we didn't play as good last week, and I thought we took some really positive steps forward today. And because if you don't improve, you're not going to have the ability. And I think that's the greatest challenge of this Ireland trip is, man, can you keep getting better in the early part of the season? And, I think the traps are coming. I think this coming week is, obviously the emotion and all that stuff coming, and to throw that at this team, that'll be a unique challenge to handle that too. So I think we're going to keep learning more about ourselves. I think this first quarter of the season is a real challenge for Iowa State football, and we'll see if we've got the character and the mental toughness to be able to continue to grow forward.
You've sung the praises of your tight end room in the past, but just how much does it open up your offense having multiple tight ends that you can look to in the passing game on top of the multiple range of receivers?
Yeah, I think the more guys that you can get into the game that can do a lot of things, right? Those guys can block. Our receivers can block. Those guys have the ability to create matchups in the passing game. I think when you have multiplicity, our tailbacks can catch the ball in the backfield. They can run the football. I think then it opens up the playbook at times to create matchups that you're trying to put in the best situation for you to be successful. Now you better have a quarterback that's got the ability to facilitate that football to the matchups. And I think that was what I was really proud of today from Rocco is, man, his efficiency was outstanding, getting the ball where the ball needed to go and getting into it in a really consistent fashion. That was awesome to see from him.
And Bramer and Burkle garner most of the attention in that room, but what else can you say about some of the other guys like Trip Walsh or Cooper Alexander and those other tight ends, Tyler Moore?
Yeah, I think all those guys, Tyler Moore is, one of our toughest kids in our program. He's a senior that has, battled back from injury after injury here and is one of the most trusted players in our team. Trip Walsh, I think, is a young man that has just demanded his way forward and, played some critical moments a year ago, was big in the bowl game for us. I think that gave him great confidence. He's been really great for us on special teams as well. Keaton Roskup has certainly, kind of done an unbelievable job coming on as a redshirt freshman. And then obviously Cooper Alexander. Coop's a guy that I just think he's got so much talent and a guy that kind of fits in the same mold as all those guys. He's so multiple in what he can do. So, yeah, we've got great faith in that room, and that room's going to have to keep growing and keep being the best version of itself. But it's a room that gives us certainly the ability to be multiple in what we do offensively.
What has Mansky shown you to be the first quarterback off the bench?
Yeah, well, a little bit of that is Connor was dinged up in fall camp, and so we, literally just started practicing again full time this past week. So, I think that's why that situation probably is where it is right now. But, from Alex's standpoint, boy, we've been so impressed with him. His maturity, he came in, he was able to come in this spring. Obviously, he wasn't able to compete this spring because he was coming off of injury. But his intelligence, his ability to really learn the offense, I think he got great reps through the summer, and I thought he came into fall camp really ahead of schedule than maybe where we thought he was going to be. But I think it's also been big for him because with Connor down, he's gotten so many of the reps, especially through the second half of fall camp. I think it really helped accelerate his growth process because you're going against the one defense a lot, and I think it was really big for him.
With how physical he played today, coming off the UCL, what did you think of the way he played today?
Yeah, sometimes Connor needs to learn how to not play so physical. He was a great safety, so a two-way player at Algona, and man, one of my favorite reps of him as a junior is, man, he comes down and fills the alley at safety is as impressive as anybody. So I think Alex has got a toughness about him that I think embodies everybody, and that's at quarterback you better be tough, and I think when you have some toughness about you, everybody's going to rally around you, and Alex certainly has that. So really proud of him today. So I thought he did a great job coming in and got some meaningful reps.
Remember a couple of weeks ago, Matt, you brought up the importance of alumni coming back to your program because it's what you've built here. Jalen and Jaden, a couple of those guys today taking some time before the season gets going. How awesome was it to see them back in Ames this afternoon?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Charlie Kohler was back today too, which was awesome. And, I think for us, it's one of the great things that we're really grateful for is so many of our former players being back involved. Our NFL guys, it's awesome. I think we had 3/4 of those guys, almost 30 of them right now, active NFL football players, which is awesome. And man, those guys back around this spring, back around this summer training in our football program. And, and then you talk about so many of our other guys that have been great players that are going on and they're being, great leaders and they're having great success and their mentorship to some of our players. It's probably one of the really grateful things that you are appreciative of being somewhere now 10 years is their involvement and wanting to be back.
How does that boost the morale of the guys that you have right now? I mean, I know it's South Dakota this week, but you got Cyhawk next week. The intensity just goes even higher and higher.
Yeah, I think that's football though, right? And that's the season. And I think every game, especially when you start to have a little bit of success, every game becomes more meaningful. And so you want to just keep taking it one day at a time. I think that's the beauty of our football program and our kids is we understand there's a process it takes to perform at our best. Now, do you have the courage and do you have the focus to follow the process it takes to be your best on Saturdays? And we'll see if we have the leadership and the kind of the mental toughness to continue to do that.
Hey, Coach, what's the status on Dom Overby? Not sure from where I was to see if he was on the field today.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, I think totally fine.
How have you seen the team's maturity kind of handle the challenges that you guys have been dealt early in the season? I know after Ireland, you made a comment that you feel like this team has one of the most difficult schedules in the country. So how have you felt like they've handled everything that's been thrown at them early?
Yeah, I think you can only go by results, right? And I think that we've only had one. And, I think what you saw is at least our kids prepared today, to play quality football. A lot of guys got in the game, and I thought a lot of guys were ready for their moment. But I think those challenges are only going to continue to go. I think the one thing I do really appreciate about this, there is a high-end want-to do the right thing. I mean, from our kids in terms of, how we sleep to how we recover to what we're doing in nutrition to how we've been in the weight room. And that's what it's going to take, right? I mean, it's like I said, nobody in college football has had success doing it because there has to be a level of maturity to be able to do it and do it for the long haul of the season. In the NFL, they can do it because there's some maturity, right? There's guys that have a little bit of wisdom. It's their job. It's a different animal. So, I think our guys, we've been able to talk about that challenge. Again, talk about it, educate it. You hope your best players are living it. And at least so far, I think our guys have done a great job of that.
Coming off the Ireland trip to have this complete of a game in all three phases, how much does that say about just your preparation that the team puts in every week?
Yeah, I think that's one of the areas we've tried to really grow during our time here is consistency of it doesn't really matter who we're playing. The opponent and the greatest opponents ourselves is, can you handle the ability to get better every day? Football's a funny game. When results start to come up and, did you get the ball? Did you not get the ball? Did you playing time? Did you win the game? Did you lose the game? Did you get all these things that happen? It takes real maturity to say, we want to be a great team. It doesn't matter what I did, it's what we did. And then have the humility to look at the videotape, whether you won or lost the football game, and say, where can we fill in these gaps? Because, the speed at which the next game is coming is monumental. And so that takes a really special group of people to want to do that. At least so far, I feel like this group has certainly bought into that mission.
I want to go back to Bramer's touchdowns in the red zone. What do you think that says about your guys' style of play in the red zone, having both of his receiving touchdowns?
Yeah, I just think those guys are big targets, and when you have big targets, it certainly creates space, especially when the yardage shrinks a little bit. And so him and Gabe, they've got the ability to create some space a little bit when the vertical space can be reduced. So really proud of those guys.
Wanted to ask about Aiden at the end. Yeah, I saw you caught up with him after the game. How awesome was it to see him once again? I mean, this is a guy that grew at South Dakota, led this team to the Final Four last season. Just how special was it to interact with him one final time?
It was awesome. I think one of my favorite things about, and as the head coach, you feel like you're heavily involved in the recruitment of the quarterbacks. And, I feel like Aiden's one of those really special humans that it was such a joy to be able to get to know his family, watch him. He did a great job here, and, really end up making the best decision for him at the time. And obviously it's proven to be the right decision for Aiden. I mean, you know, he's done an unbelievable job leading that program. He's a guy that I think has the ability to continue to play football. And you know, a guy that got married this summer. I mean, just who he is, what he's about. He's a really special human. I know there's a lot of guys on our team that have a lot of respect for him, and I know the head coach, our staff, we all have great respect for Aiden Bauman. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matt.